Good afternoon and welcome to Nigeria Now on Equa Television, where we keep you updated with the trendings that are happening currently in the country. I am Seda Elisha Dasham. You will be part of the program by actually, joining us via Facebook and YouTube. Drop your comment and your views, and then we'll see how we can put our heads together to some of the things and then provide solution if possible. I will be doing the program together with Rachel Tansy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, we have quite a number on our plate, and we'll try to see if we can cover them all before the end of the program. And we'd love to start with what happened yesterday, where a young man was being caught with a bomb tied around his waist. And as of the time of this report, when it was being gathered, we're yet to know if the man is actually associated to any group called terrorist group or whatsoever. But then just when residents, Rachel, were saying that, you know what, the time of suicide bombers, I mean, we have way past that. I mean, right now, we've not heard any issue of suicide bombing. And then whole and behold, we had that young man. And I took my time, Rachel, to actually look at the face of this young man properly. I mean, and I was just imagining, I might have been in that place. I mean, in that Ikowa, we know that UBA Bank, precisely, that was where it happened. We know this is a bank that most people actually try to make use of, because I think it's the closest bank around that you could get an ATM to. So even people who are banking with that bank or people who are not banking with that bank were actually there. According to one of the people who were, or one of the persons rather, that was present during this report, he said for those who were in the bank as of the time, they were told to stay back in, that they shouldn't come out. So I mean, you know, speculation, you'd be thinking, okay, maybe it was a fire or something, and then after everything was being done, they said, okay, you can go out. And then nobody saw, there was no any smoke alarm, nothing of that sort and all of that. But because of, you know, let's just say God was faithful, and because of the way he was behaving in a suspicious manner, and that was when he was being apprehended by the vigilantes that were around the security agency. And what I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that he said that he was being forced to. So Rachel, right now, a number of things will be running through your mind. Was he being tested by a cult group? What really brought or prompted such a person? Because you could look at him, I mean, to me, Rachel, he was looking hungry. So I was wondering, was he doing that for money? Who sent him? These are questions, and I hope that the security agency will actually investigate and really probe and try to get the answers out of him. What prompted him? Who sent him, and all of that? Because as of right now, we don't really know if he's associated to anybody whatsoever. But I mean, looking at that, I'm really happy that there was no casualty whatsoever. But this is telling us that, you know what, we have to be extra careful. You never can tell how many of them are still out there, Rachel. He might not be the only person. Maybe they were being spread out somewhere in the maybe church area, worship centers, market spaces, you know, just recreational centers and all of that. And I think this is where we have to up our game when it comes to security, because yes, he was being apprehended, but how about others that are out there? We never can tell, Rachel. And because I remember the twin bomb we had here in Plateau State, and then I know the casualties and a number of things that happened. Money was being, a number of people, their properties were being, you know, destroyed, what millions and billions of naira. So I'm really hoping that, you know, the government of the day will look into it. Let us not just bypass that. Okay, it's just, I'm hoping that maybe there are others out there, and the security need to do their job to comb areas and be sure that he's being brought to book.
So when it comes to security, it is one aspect of our life that there must be continuity. It cannot be, when it comes to security, it can't be seizing in and seizing out. And this is where the fault lies. That once a time we've had issues of suicide bombing in Nigeria, is not going to stop. It has started, it will continue. And I like the fact that we talked about security yesterday, and how I clearly stated that nobody is safe. The dangers you face is just peculiar to your environment. We talked about how the people in rural areas, there's mass abduction because is peculiar to them. That is what those people can carry out with ease successfully. What do they have access to that will cause damage to the life of people and property? We can say that even to herders and farmers clash in communities, in Benue, on the plateau, in any state that have been affected. Now, what has been the most peculiar kind of attack to people within urban areas and, let's say, the metropolitan areas of city, of a state? It has always been suicide bombing attacks. We saw that in the FCT. We've had our fair share here on the plateau, in Kaduna, and everywhere. What does that mean, Sele? It means certain type of check is not supposed to stop as far as security is concerned. When we talk about the rural area, it means there's supposed to be maximum security. Soldiers are not only the checkpoint, but even inside the villages, in schools, hospitals, churches, mosques, wherever people are prone to attacks. And then when it comes down to where we are, we put in checks. We've had bomb blast attacks in churches before. How did it happen? It's suicide. That was how it was successful. It was suicide bombing. There was one in Rayfield and Fimbas. It was suicide. Every other. These people walk in with this bomb in their body. So what does that mean? That if your church, okay, because there was some amount of peace, what happens is that when you rest, the person planning to cheat you or attack you is not resting. That's what we don't understand in Nigeria. Exactly. It's waiting and allowing you to forget, because we forget. You're not supposed to stay with grief, but you're not supposed to let your guard down concerning insecurity. It's supposed to be continuous. And this is where I see that everybody's lagging behind when it comes to security. Worse, the government and even us individuals. Why are our banking institutions not going on with these checks still at the gate? At church service, there was a time it was a procedure. Any metal detection on your body is being checked thoroughly. We are not supposed to stop it. When it comes to security, it's not supposed to be seasonal. It's supposed to be continuous. And I keep saying that these are the key indicators that we are growing, or we are where we are, or we are backward. How will it be that once a time checking was compulsory and now it's not? And it's not like there are no pockets of attack left, right, center, and then we stop. So if you ask yourself, have we grown or are we depreciating? It shows, because when you are even stagnant, it means on some days there's security check on them, on some days there's none. But this one completely we've stopped. I think we've gone backward because it's not growth. When it comes to, I think this is a wake-up call.
Sure.
What just happened is a wake-up call. That when it comes to security, it cannot be seasonal. Your sixth sense when it comes to your safety cannot be seasonal. Meaning every day you are going to any crowded area, be it the market, be it church, be anywhere where more than 2 or 3 will be gathered. Truly. So you have to be personally, and the authority in charge of that gathering have to be more ahead of you when it comes to security. It's just an eye-opener. And we can only say, thank God there were no casualties. Exactly. Then what next are we to do? We wake up. Regardless of what groups he belonged to, if there was a damage, people's life would have been lost. And then it's just sorry to whoever the family will be involved in. So it is a wake-up call, and I hope that we really wake up eventually.
Because looking at that bomb, Richard, you could know that that was locally made.
Yes, Sele,
That's number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, just like you said, this is a wake-up call for us to be alert. I mean, there was a time, if you're going to any worship center, Rachel, in my church particularly, you're not allowed with your bag.
Exactly.
In fact, phones, as of a time, was being banned. If you need to hold your Bible to church, please have the manual Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
No use of handsets, because anything can happen.
True.
We know there was a time that handsets were being used.
Any
That is where
device
the device was being
made,
used to blow things up and all of that. So just like you rightly said, it's high time we wake up, just in case we have been sleeping. I mean, I remember we said the same thing during the COVID. I said then during COVID, everybody was walking around with the face mask. Now everybody's walking around. That doesn't stop that there are still airborne diseases and you are supposed to protect yourself, but we fail to do that. And I think it's the same thing. The fact that, I mean, these people have actually diverted our attention to something different, going to school, does not mean that they will not take us unaware. And we are not supposed to be that way. So I hope that, just like we said, the authorities need to wake up. This is just in this state. I do not know where else they are. Maybe then the various 36 states in the federation. So something needs to be done. But just like we said, thank God this was being detected. I just cannot imagine the number of casualties, Rachel. We know it's by the roadside, and we know there are many other businesses around that area. So just like you said, it's a very sensitive area, and I hope that the government, the security agency, and everybody, in fact, personally right now, is for me to double check. If you're sitting close to somebody and not very sure of the person, you check again, just so that you know what you have to watch out for yourself. Now, this morning during the papers, Rachel, we saw that the federal government is considering performance-based salary for workers. And when I saw that, I was like, we're still trying to convince the government to pay minimum wage. We're still trying to convince the government the fact that, you know what, civil servants deserve reward. And according to the government here, they're saying it's based on your performance and your productivity. And the question would be, of course, we have workers that are not productive. I mean, we can mention 1, 2, 3. Rachel, if you're weak, if they just tap you from your sleep, you can mention certain sectors or agencies that you can go and you're sure that nothing is happening there. You meet them eating granules. Work comes once in a while, and yet you see that such places are being paid higher than others. And I think that I really applaud the government for this initiative. But my concern, Richard, is if the government is going to be really, really honest concerning this performance-based salary for workers, because of course we're talking about civil servants. And we know that civil servants are more like the engine of any economy, because basically they're the ones that do the work. And I'm hoping that, you know what, if the government feel that, you know what, this is a way of actually applauding, appreciating hard work, commitment of civil servants, making sure that, you know what, the time you give in from 8 to 5 or from 8 to 4, you're being appreciated. It's one thing for the government to say. It's another thing for the government to do it. I remember in 2022, that was when the issue of rewarding civil servants came up, during where we had the former Vice President Osinbajo talking about the fact that, you know what, we need to appreciate our civil servants, because this is one of the, you know, we can't do without them. They're the engine of the economy. They're the ones doing every. And yet we've not seen them being appreciated. Well, if they are being appreciated, we'll not have labor talking or threatening industrial strike left, right, and center. But I mean, I'm happy that the government is looking into, you know, appreciating this productivity. But I hope that it doesn't just end on the paper. But I hope that this will show beyond the living wage, the minimum wage. And right now we are looking at performance-based salary. So this is another, would I say another appreciation or reward? I don't know how to put this time around.
So based on what I understand is that the government is trying to go from just daily wages to saying you be paid performance-based, which means you and I can be on the same level and then we get paid differently. And what I love about the federal government of Nigeria, Sele, is this. I'm not trying to, you know, make the government look down upon the Nigerian government. But we always bring things that don't make sense and try to make sense of it on a lot of level. First of all, there's no such thing as a performance-based salary. What we have is a performance-based payment or a performance-based bonus. That is, you and I are on level 11. And at the end of the day, at the end of the month, there will be a measurement, there will be like a review,
Possibly.
an
Assessment sheets based
of
on
your performance.
Very true.
Then if level 11 staffs get paid 100,000, based on your performance, based on the review and your assessment of your performance as a staff, you get a salary-based performance bonus or payment added
to your take-home money.
Because it is not, if we are on the same level, if we are going to work on performance-based as the general indicator or what we use to measure payment, then it means when I come to work, I'm giving 10 files to work on and you are giving 5 files to work on. And that is wrong. Either way, I'm being exploited and you are being underemployed, and a lot of things will come in because somebody, we know our country, we have nepotism, we have partiality, we have all of these. You have to look at your system. Somebody will come because he wants me, a boss, somebody ahead of us, whoever we're under their unit will come, and because he likes Sele or she likes Rachel more than the other person, will give me more workload so that at the end of the day, you or I get to go home with a bigger paycheck than
the other.
In this kind of level, I freely make comparison with economy that work better. The best way to really award workers is an hour-based kind of payment, based on your level, based on your state, and all of that. If I come to work and I just want to work for 5 hours, my performance is 5 hours. At the end of the day, I get paid for my 5 hours. If you come to work and you can work for 13 good hours, you work for 13 good hours, and then you get paid for 13 hours. So automatically, who puts in more hours into work walks home with a bigger paycheck, and that is it. Because within that hours, you know how much work that person can put in. You assign work appropriately to people according to the hours. You know, within 1 hour, this task could be done. And then when a worker is falling behind their task, and you know averagely this is the maximum time that can take for such a job to be delivered, then there would be punishment. Because you're not being paid on an hour base. If you're not performing, if you're not being productive within the hour you're supposed to work, then there will be a review of your income. Either per hour, it's being deducted or increased. And after a while, okay, I am giving this much. If I'm being paid 500 naira per hour, I can sit down and say, I have done more than my pay, and it's being reviewed. And okay, fine. The management says you're doing okay. You're now going to 700. So like we have to think, how is our system, performance-based salary, first of all, is going to be exploitative. Not only will it be exploitative, but it will also be used as a means of oppression. Looking at our system, we have not even, how many people get paid for overtime in Nigeria as it is now? How many people can proudly boast of working in an organization, be it government or private, that they get paid for working overtime? How many people? I know it will be very few. It will be very few among the millions of workers we have in this country. So how can you have a performance-based system of payment when you haven't even successfully implemented or carried out a daily wage type of payment and all of that? Hour-based kind of payment, I believe, is a type that could really reward people for their performance, but not how we want to do it, that somebody at a certain level could eventually end up being paid higher than the other person. It's going to be catastrophic on a lot of levels. And I truly hope, Sele, I know it's in a bid to make sure that the working class person in Nigeria gets fully rewarded or duly rewarded depending on what they do. But at the same time, let's look at what is realistic And in our working system, I believe, I see that performance-based salary is not going to work for us.
Because somehow, you know, when you're looking at it, it looks more like it's a scam.
Yeah.
Or it's a way, just like you said, we're looking at our system. If you go to any civil service working place, commission, or any of the sectors, you clearly state the fact where you will see somebody who have been more productive working lower than another.
Exactly.
So you see that you've been employed for the past 10 years, and then the person who just came 3 years is already the deputy director.
Because
he's
been
there
favored by
because
someone.
he's been favored by someone.
Yes.
So right now, the question a number of people will be asking the government is, so who is going to be monitoring to know how?
What would be the indices for measurement of your performance?
How are you going to measure this performance and productivity? Because believe in me, Rachel, somebody can come to work from morning till evening, and yet the person did not do anything.
Yeah.
And there's somebody that in just 3 to 2 hours, you could tell that this person was really, really productive. So sometimes it's not even the time that matters, but how much the work you put during that time. And I just hope that if this is a way of the government trying to revive and, you know, trying to check how the entire civil service is working, I hope that this will be a way to actually upgrade our, you know, civil servants to a way. I just hope it's another way. Just like you said, if you're not doing well, you should be actually punished. And if you're doing well, you should be appreciated and rewarded for every effort. Is one thing. Just that's why I said it's one thing for the government to say it, because as far as I'm concerned, right now it's a plan they are considering. It is a plan,
yes.
So we do not know how. If they said they've already been in talks with the labor concerning this, so that is to say that even labor is aware of things that are happening. So in as much as you are fighting and say, you know what, we need 650,000 naira minimum wage, you should also know that some of your workers that you are saying they should be paid 650,000 do not even deserve 200,000 naira minimum wage, because some of them do not even work.
Yes.
You go to a place and you realize, especially where people work with the government, you see that there's this nonchalant attitude people give to work. You go there for just signing and then you are out to do whatever your own personal business is, and then at the end of the day you are being paid. So if this is a way to actually check those who are really working, I hope that eventually it will work, and I hope that we'll see things working in our system eventually. Yes. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for actually doing this with me. Thank you to our viewers, and also thank you to our supporters for keeping this moment with us on Nigeria Now. We look forward again to being in your screen tomorrow. Do take and have a blessed day ahead.